figure of 8 like that. Okay.
You join us as Jane is doing a waggle dance.
Yeah, we need to waggle your bottoms as well. Okay. So you start the figure of 8 in the direction of the food. So, okay, I'm going there. And then you waggle your bottom upwards if the food source is up. And if it's low down, you waggle it down. And the more figures of 8s you do, the further away the food is. So imagine that you're telling your grown-up where the flowers are just by doing your buzz and waggle dance. That would be really strange, wasn't it? So you might like to practice that. You could do it now. Anybody want to do a waggle dance now?
Not too sure.
If you do, just find yourself a space and we go. It's terribly difficult to waggle your bottom because we're not bees. But maybe you want to do that in the privacy of your own home and with your own sisters. If you do it and you're trying to tell your grown-ups or your brother or sister where the food is, don't look. Because we always look at things, don't we? And it's such a clue. But a bee's, that's not what a bee's doing. It's dark in the hive. So there's all the bees around them. So you need your grown-up or your brother or sister very close to you so that you don't have to do huge, great movements. You can just wiggle and don't look at where you're trying to send them so that they get an idea of where they're going. And that's quite fun to have a go at. See if you can show somebody where something is by doing a waggle dance. Now, I know you know a lot about hives. We've been talking about honeybees. Do you know how many bees are in a hive? A honey hive, bee hive?
2,000.
There can be, yeah. It can be anything, but there's usually thousands of bees, up to apparently about 60,000 in one hive. That's an enormous number, isn't it? I'm just checking what page the hive page is on in the bee book, and it's back here somewhere. Should be able to find it. Got the wrong glasses on, so I'm holding it away. There we are. Yes, so in the Lottie books there are pages which give some cool facts about bees, like it takes 8 honeybees their entire life to make 1 teaspoon of honey. Their whole lives to make 1 teaspoon.
Do honeybees make a 12 of a teaspoon of honey?
That's right. Yes, that's about it. Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it, to think that they spend all their lives going out every day, going to at least 1,000 flowers, and then they come back and it takes all that time for 1 tiny, tiny bit of honey. Yes.
Bees can't fly in rain.
No.
It kills them.
No, they don't. They are, I mean, for their size, particularly a bumblebee, because we've been talking about honeybees, but there are thousands of different sorts of bees. Those big fat bumblebees, this is more like a bumblebee, isn't it? I've got a nest of bumblebees in my garden at the moment. It's very difficult to work out how many. Generally speaking, a bumblebee nest won't have very many individuals. Probably it will only have about 30 in there. But I've noticed, because I've been watching it, I've noticed that I get the really big bumblebees. I think they're the old ones. And they're smaller, but they're still quite round when they first come out and start buzzing around. And then sadly, because bees don't live for very long, I will find the dead ones, and they've just been pushed out of the nest by the other bees. And that's the same with honeybees, isn't it?
I had a really big one in my house.
In your house, they make an awful noise, don't they, when they're really when they come in? They are so loud, a bumblebee.
Yes, sometimes Try and me got bees in our house.
Yes, yes. So
they made very loud noises.
They do make very loud noises.
It made us very scared, but then I threw us outside because it came in the room. Then it came in the room.
I think human beings do get a bit scared when they hear things buzz, don't they? It's,
got scared. And
so we have to tell ourselves, be still, and it won't bother us. And because they're not interested in us, they're interested in other things, and they are very good for our planet.
You might smell honey.
Yes, so they might be. Well, wasps are a bit of a bother sometimes, aren't they? But if a bee's come into your house, it's just got muddled. Bees don't have eyes like this, by the way. They have compound eyes with lots of different lenses, a bit like spiders.
These are just toys. If he needs to be alone, then it won't bother you at all. It's only if it's or angry. It can only sting once and then it dies.
That's right. So a bee will not sting you. Now a wasp, if you flap at a wasp a lot, it thinks it's being attacked, not unreasonably because it probably is. But then it releases something called a pheromone, which is a chemical substance which actually calls other wasps. So the worst thing you can do with a wasp is to flap around, because then it will sort of call other wasps to help. And wasps, of course, can sting more than once. And yes, and very painful they are too. But they won't bother you if you don't flap at them. They're looking for something sweet and sugary, and that's not us.
When wasps die, I think they can still sting.
Yes, you have to be careful with them. You're right. You don't want to step on them in bare feet, do you? Just in case they did sting. So, what happens in the Lottie story is that in the Lottie story, there's a swarm of bees comes onto the tree, and the next door neighbour wants to call an exterminator. But of course, Lottie knows that what should you do if you find a swarm of bees? Who should you call? A beekeeper, because they will come and they will take a swarm away. So there is a bit of a scary moment in the Lottie books with the bee book, because there is a swarm. But all is well, and the swarm is taken away and looked after, as well as Lottie. Now, bees are really important pollinators. Another important pollinator is a butterfly. Yeah. Did anybody do the butterfly survey last week? So you did. Well done. Okay. Is it going on? Do you know, Victoria? Is it going on this week, the butterfly survey, or were we all supposed to have done it last week?
I'm not sure.
No,
I haven't looked that up recently.
I was going to check as well. We were looking to see how many different sorts of butterflies came to our garden. And if you look online, butterfly survey, you'll find all sorts of information to help you identify the butterfly.
I have 3 in my house.
You had 3 in your house. Wow, you hardly need this then, because what we're going to do now is make a butterfly feeder. And a butterfly feeder is just a paper plate, and this is something that you hang outside in a place that's not too windy, hopefully, with a bit and particularly squashed banana or something. So I haven't bought the squishy fruit to put on top, but both bees and butterflies are quite attracted by yellow. So I've got over here a yellow pen and a black pen you may have already, so that you can do your designs. Okay. Whoa. So that you can do your designs on your butterfly feeder. And then over here we have some string so that you can loop it across and make it so that it supports. I've done opposite, so I've gone across, but it doesn't actually really matter because I was relatively careful with where I put the holes. But after you've made it at home, you're going to need to squish some banana or something on top of it. So here we are. Here is, and go and get a yellow pen if you haven't got one already.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I should have given that to you because I forgot to put my mask on. There we are. Okay, So make some nice sunflowery shapes. You might want to draw a bee on it or a butterfly. When you get home and you've got lots of colours, you could add more colours if you wanted. You can do the bottom as well when you get home if you like to, so that it will attract your butterfly to it. But the butterfly will, of course, also be attracted by some nice fruit. Now, Lottie's trouble, of course, was that Nacho liked the fruit as well. So Nacho was after the fruit. And when parrots eat things, they tend to poop as well. So there was rather a lot of poop in the books, actually. I can only apologise. So this is the A. Sorry, Victoria, I hadn't realised you were up and running again. So, we had a battery moment.
We were doing a waggle dance, weren't we, when I came back in? That
Right,
which I
okay.
think you were explaining was something bees do to.
Yes, it's where bees look for their food. Well, they come back to the hive, and where honeybees tell the other bees in the hive where the food is, they do a waggle dance, and it's something that scientists have been studying to try and work out how they communicate where the food source is, where the pollen and nectar is. And they definitely do figure of eights, and they definitely waggle their bottoms up or down according to where it is. But it could be even more complicated than that. They may be giving they may be sort of showing where the sun is in relationship to the food source as well. So there's quite a lot to still be discovered.
That's incredible.
Nice to be a bee scientist. I know a little bit about things, but I don't know it in detail because I'm not a bee expert.
Could you show us your book survey? Lottie's book survey in one of the books, please.
Certainly.
Thank you.
And Lottie's book survey is, I think, in this one. Yes. Here we are. And in each. So she's made a note across the top of where the jam jars are, and then she's listed some of the creatures you might put different ones down according to what you find and how many and where.
And I remember you said something about yogurt pots, using yogurt pots
You
to
can
do
use
that?
empty yogurt pots if you've cleaned them out and dried them. If they've still got some yogurt in, they'll be a bit sticky. So we don't want our bugs to stick them out. And you have to remember to take them out of the ground as well, partly because your mum might want them back, but also because you don't want to leave them there for too long because the creatures in there haven't got food and they might there might be too much water in there. So
I'll give them a little bit of food in there.
a little bit, yes. You could do if you wanted to, but you could put a little bit of grated carrot or something in, couldn't you? And that might encourage more to go in. That might be like a lure to go in. It's not a bad idea. I haven't tried that myself.
And with the wormery, I don't think we got as far as putting the worm food in either.
Oh,
so
right.
what happens with that?
Well, we just need something for that will attract the worms up to the top, because they will eat the soil as well. But it is nice. I've just got some grated apple here, so just a little bit of grated apple or grated carrot, or if you've got some peelings left over. So these, you can. If there are people who haven't yet had their apple in there because they hadn't quite finished off, so we'll make sure that they've got their apple. So it's just something to make the worms think, yum, I've got to go to the top and eat that as long with the soil.
Thank you. I can see some lovely designs down here.
Yes,
Let's have a look at this.
Yes, there's some flowers and all sorts of things going on. Does anybody else want to see over here? There we are. Oh, that's a nice bee. Very nice. Just different shapes of flowers, however you like it. As long as you've got some yellow, they will like it.
Yeah. I've got a lot of yellow in here.
Yes. So, I mean, you could just do sort of yellow smudges, they wouldn't even mind that. They don't necessarily want it to be a flower. So another great thing that you can do for the small creatures in your garden is to provide them with a water source. And one thing that you can use for that is your mum or your grandma's pie dish, or your dad's indeed, because my sons are really good at baking, far better than me. So if you're going to use a saucer or a pie dish or something for this, you only want a little bit of water, and you need to put some stones in so that the bugs can crawl out and not drown if it gets too deep. But it's really a huge thing you can do for wildlife is to give them a little bit of water to drink, the small creatures or the bigger ones. If you've got an old washing up bowl, for example, you could make a little pond. But make sure always, if you do that, that you've got something that the creatures can crawl out by, because you don't want a hedgehog going into your washing up bowl and not being able to get out. So that would be a brick or something you'd need to make sure that it could get out.
Yeah.
So
I just did the outside of it.
oh wow,
Could
that's a
you
good
show me,
idea.
please?
Would you show yours? Yes, show
Oh,
yours
wow.
to Victoria, and also show it to everyone else, so they might like to use that idea as well.
Yeah.
To finish off by doing the yellow around the edge, so it really is very, very bright indeed.
Thank you.
And you might already in your garden have made a little bug hotel with sticks and things.
You have bug hotel and a bee house.
You have a bug hotel and a bee house. Is that one of the solitary bees where
It's just like a bug hotel but with bigger holes.
Mhm.
And there is little small holes for little small bees.
because some bees are, as it explains in here as well, some bees live on their own. They're what's called solitary bees. I'm just having a look at what page that is. Here's a sort of bug hotel. It doesn't have to be as ornate as that. You can just pile up things. They will still like it.
We haven't seen anyone in the hotels lately.
So no, I looked through mine, and no, when I water the garden, I water my bug hotel. So I had got a few snails estivating in there, and I'd got some wood lice. So the other thing that is everywhere, and I can't help seeing at the moment, is ants.
Yeah.
So loads and loads and loads of ants.
Yeah, sloths are great pollinators too. Without sloths, there wouldn't be any avocados.
Oh really? I didn't know that. That's marvellous. I like avocados too.
I don't.
And here's the butterfly feeder.
I don't, but my dad does. I don't.
So there are plenty of things that you can do in your garden. If you're thinking ahead, you can think of planting things for next year, sunflowers and so on. There are in the Lottie books, there's all sorts of hints and tips, but of course you can find them online, how to attract different animals. With Lottie, I've done one that's mainly got little things like frogs in, one that's mainly bugs. Though of course they're all interconnected. The one that's coming out next week is birds, and I'm currently writing a hedgehogs one. So there are all sorts of things that you can do to help the little creatures in your garden. So I hope that you will be helping every little thing as well. Thank you all so very much for coming. I'm not throwing you out or anything. I'm just saying we're coming to the end of the session. So please finish off what you're doing. I would like the pens back, but the rest of the things are yours. Some people need to do some more, put some more soil in their wormery. I know, and I'll be waiting. Don't worry. I'll be waiting for you because you will need on the very top a bit of worm food. So I'd like though to wrap it up now and to say thank you all very, very much for coming. And to thank you all for being so patient, because there is, particularly at the moment, a lot of waiting around, we know, for people to have turns. Give yourselves a big clap. Thank you all for taking part. So, I have, as I said,